And Balthazar, amazing TV personality and network producer. We are here with Brian to put him on the hot seat on our latest edition of Ask a Mogul Anything. We can go right now, any of you, to add your questions to Brian's queue. Go to www.onmogul.com and ask Brian anything for the next hour. Okay.
Wow. I hope I'm that interesting. I hope I have enough interesting things to say. I'll do my best.
Brian, to warm you up, we're going to do a lightning round of questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Fire away.
All right. Biggest guilty pleasure?
Pizza.
When it comes to pizza, deep dish or thin crust?
A follow-up question on pizza that you had ready? Okay. I'm not fussy. Like, even bad pizza to me is pretty good pizza. But I would say, like, traditional and then thin crust, kind of, I volley. I'm very difficult. I know this is supposed to be lightning round and I've slowed down the pace already, but I'm not good with favorites. I'm always like, but I like a variety of things, so I'm going to go with those two options. Next question. Sorry.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate with peanut butter in it, or Rocky Road backup. Yeah.
All-time favorite book?
I love Bossy Pants and basically cookbooks. You probably were thinking novels, but so Tina Fey's Bossy Pants. And also cookbooks from Ina Garten. Love those too.
All-time favorite beverage?
Oh, Coke Zero. Hands down.
Window seat or aisle? I am
formerly a window seater, now moving to aisle, partly because I drink so many Coke Zeros. So, I just like the accessibility, the restroom accessibility. There's your TMI moment.
Taylor Swift or Beyonce?
Don't make me choose. Taylor Swift. I will say I love them both, but for like songs I play on my phone mostly, probably Taylor Swift. But for choreography, you gotta hand it to Beyonce. Like if I just want to watch someone entertain me, it's Beyonce.
Okay, Beatles or Elvis?
Beatles.
Favorite form of communication? Phone call, email, or text?
Phone call.
First,
phone call.
First,
Depends on who's trying to reach me. Okay, phone call, yeah. Sorry.
First thing you do in the morning?
I pet my dogs, and then I get, it's terrible, I know, I drink a Coke Zero immediately. Like, that's the first thing I do in the morning. I go and get a soda. It's like my coffee, so that's what happens.
Last thing you do at night?
The last thing I do at night is I set the timer on the TV, and it's always set to the same, basically, 2 shows and 2 channels, and this is, and then I go to bed, and I'm just going to tell you because it's a little embarrassing. But so I usually have the TV set to, I'm awake for a Seth MacFarlane show, whether it's Family Guy or American Dad or the Cleveland Show, but generally it's Family Guy when I'm starting to fall asleep. And then at midnight, it switches over automatically. I program it in that the Golden Girls comes on at midnight because I've seen all of them, so I'm not going to try and stay awake because I know what happens. Like, I know. So it's like kind of like it's my white noise. Some people have one of those water fountain sounds or white, like wind noises. To me, that's Blanche, Dorothy, and Rose.
All right. And the most frequented website?
Most frequented website, I would say Google or AOL, or I know I'm not good at doing just one answer. I apologize. CNN, NBC.
Favorite reality show ever?
I have to say, I still love Project Runway. I think it's great because I love that it's based on talent. I love that you're actually judging someone not for the crazy behavior or what they did or didn't do, but you're looking at something they created and judging it based on that. I still think that show is fantastic.
The one movie you could watch forever?
Oh, well, it's on a lot, so whenever, I will say, every time I'm flipping the channels and Sister Act is on, any incarnation of Sister Act, I will stop. I also worked with Whoopi, so I look at her and I'm like, my friend is on, so it's kind of for many reasons. But it's also like a solidly entertaining film. There you go.
If you had to sing karaoke to just one song, it would be?
Karaoke to just one song. Jeffrey Osborne, You Should Be Mine, the Woo Woo song, because it's kind of in my range. It's a good song. It's a kind of an 80s, late 80s maybe throwback. So yeah, I don't even know if they have it in a karaoke place, but I hope they do.
Last time you laughed till you cried?
I actually laugh a lot. Like there are literally moments, and to a fault probably, but probably yes. Like not till I cried, but I can't remember the last time I laughed till I cried. But I will laugh emphatically or like excessively every day, at least once or twice.
Complete the phrase. When I was a child, I wanted to be blank when I grew up.
I wanted to be on TV. I wasn't exactly sure how or why or what, and make TV. I just wanted to be in the world of TV somehow.
Complete the phrase, if I could tell my 20-year-old self just one thing, it would be.
Don't be afraid to just go for it a lot earlier than I did. I didn't start in television in any form until I was 28. So if I were 20, I would tell my 20-year-old self, like, no, just go do it. You first have to be able to say out loud that you want something, and then people will hear you, they'll believe you, and they'll help you, maybe, hopefully. If they can't help you if you're afraid to say it yourself, if you don't believe in yourself enough. And I did not believe in myself at 20.
Complete the phrase, if I could go back and live just one day over, it would be?
Oh, I would live, not to bring the room down, but I would go back to visit my mom. My mom has passed, and she was super awesome. And so I would pick a vacation day, or really literally any random day, just hang out with her. And it's not sad for me to say it, because we, for lack, she became ill, but we had a really good run, and so we just had a great time. Almost the whole time. So I would go back to the good times of that for one day.
And last question of the lightning round, and then we're going to viewer questions.
Okay.
Or follower questions. Complete the phrase. To be a leader or to be a mogul is?
Wow. To be a leader or to be a mogul is, wow, it's hard for me to say mogul. Like, I took the subway here and frequently spill beverages. So I sometimes feel like I have a long way to go before I'm really a mogul. But to be a leader is to be someone who surrounds themselves, hopefully, with great people. And this is a kind of a lift from Tina Fey's book, which we were talking about earlier, Bossy Pants, where she's like, surround yourself with great people and let them do what they do best. And so if I'm a good leader or a mogul, I hope that I'm aspiring to do that, but also to help others and to be nice. We can all be nice. It's not that hard. And so that's my short answer. I don't do short answers well. That's one of my weaknesses.
Everyone, we're joined by Brian Balthazar, TV personality, HGTV television network executive, former executive producer of the 4th hour of the Today Show, which he launched with Kathy Lee and Hoda. He's responsible for that dynamic duo. Co-executive producer of The View for a year. And we're joining Brian now, who will take your questions, ask him anything live. We're going to go to the actual questions that have been queuing up. Are you okay?
We are queuing up questions. Okay, so let's see. I've had a lot of different jobs, and what's your favorite job that you've ever had, and why? Well, okay, that's a challenging one, because I think, it was when I was in college. I'm just going to go back to like kind of this world that I'm in now, and then kind of my younger years. And one of my favorites was, I got to answer on the thing. Okay, this is why you go onto the comment section and can answer. I loved working at Disney World. I drove a tram, and I was like. At the time, I was like, I wanted to work on like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. But no, working on the tram was awesome because it wasn't super scripted and you could just talk to people. And you're driving a tram. The tram at Disney World. Yeah. I know it doesn't sound very mogul-y, does it? But sound very mogul-ish. Is that a word? I'm going to reach over. I see a Diet Coke over there. I'm going to go after it. Hold on. This is my day. Literally, you're watching my day pretty much unfold in a nutshell. But also, my current career my current place in my career is really great. I'm at HGTV. I develop shows for HGTV, DIY Network, and Great American Country. And I work with really great people. And they also empower me and allow me to, with this wonderful opportunity, to go on shows like Kathy Lee and Hoda. Now I go on as a guest. I'm going on, I think, on October 3rd and on Halloween. And the Wendy Williams Show. And so I get to kind of live in this world where I get to create great TV and then be a guest on some really great shows. And I love that too. So I'm going to answer this question that's from Sally22. And I appreciate you asking the question, Sally. So I'm going to finish this question. You're making TV shows and being on TV as well. Okay. So in case you're wondering why I'm typing, if you're not on the On Mogul website and you're watching on Facebook Live, go to onmogul.com. You can register. There are a lot of really fascinating people on this page, so you can watch their interviews. You can stay here and post questions here. I'm going to read another question. What was it like traveling with Tom Cruise? Is he really as odd as we hear in the tabloids? This is from Morgan's mom. It's one of those questions where I'm almost afraid to answer because I'm like, if I get home and my locks have been changed, it's like Tom Cruise's people have probably changed them. But the truth is it was a little unusual. I was traveling the world with Tom Cruise for the release of The War of the Worlds. This was back when I was a producer. And we went from Tokyo to Paris to, it was a weird order that we went. We went from Tokyo to Berlin, to Paris, to Marseille, and then to London, I believe. And it was madness. It was sheer madness. And the one observation I can say is, we've all seen Tom Cruise on, right? You've seen him like, the movie star, that kind of thing. And I thought to myself, I was with him a lot during this time, and there were very few moments where I actually saw him able to really just kind of be chill, authentic. Like, who's the real Tom Cruise? I don't know that we know who that is, really. So I'm going to write you, Morgan's mom, in depth a little bit later, if that's okay, because that's a long answer. So I'm going to write that if you're not watching. But I felt to myself, wow, I think Tom Cruise knows how to play the part of Tom Cruise movie star really well. But I wasn't so sure he knew who Tom Cruise, average guy, whose original name wasn't, I think it was Mapother was his last name. I understand why I changed it. But I don't know if he knows who that guy is anymore because he's been such a stellar movie star anymore. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of my stories. But we only have an hour. Let's see. Do we have any questions here? Samuel Oris 29. Hi. When and how did you decide to pursue a career in front of the camera? As a kid, I lived in a very small town, and I watched a lot of TV. Wasn't so good at throwing and tossing, catching a ball, but boy, I knew how to watch my TV. So I would watch the TV and think to myself, I want to be a part of that. That's so cool. But as I said earlier, I wasn't super confident in myself. First of all, I was so thin you could floss with me. Like, I was thin. Like, I would walk past a phone pole and disappear, so I didn't really have confidence in my appearance, in my voice, and who I was as a human being. So I just kind of pushed it aside and decided to do I had a lot of jobs throughout my 20s. I probably had over 30 jobs throughout my 20s trying to figure out what I was going to do. I sang and danced on a boat. I worked for a psychic medium. I worked for a PR firm, an insurance company. You name it, I did it. So then I was 28 and I finally got a job writing for a news station. And I was loving producing, I was loving writing, but I also thought, God, I kind of wish I were doing what they were doing as well. So I kept being a producer because it was rewarding me professionally and financially. And it was when finally I was at MSNBC, and the news was really tough. It was really hard. The news was really sad. It was after 9/11. I was working in international politics and even sometimes traveling the world to places like Beirut. I was in Saudi Arabia. It was a tough time to be doing news that was somewhat scary at the time. So I took a class in stand-up comedy to just have something where I was in control of my life, and I was my own boss, even if it was for 7 minutes, which was basically 7 minutes. And that was where I started to kind of get more comfortable in the idea of just letting loose. And some people gave me opportunities. So I guess the short answer, and as again, my weakness is I'm not good at short answers. It was when I finally took a stand-up comedy class. And even if you don't think you want to do stand-up comedy, it's a great way to force yourself to try something. Because if you pay for the class, this is what I said, if I pay for the class, I'm going to take the class. Like, I'm not going to skip out. And they force you, basically. Well, the idea is at the end of the class, you go do stand-up. So I knew I couldn't just go to an open mic and try it. I needed to have some sort of discipline for me to go do it. So I finally found my confidence. And I was given an opportunity to be on TV as kind of like this kind of like offbeat on the street kind of reporter. I wasn't quite as offbeat as say like Billy Eichner is on Billy on the Street, but like who's amazing and hilarious. I wasn't nearly that funny. I don't know that I could ever be that funny, but it was kind of what started it. And then I launched a website, a pop culture website, because a show called me. This is kind of interesting. A TV show called me and wanted me to be part of a pilot, which is like the first test episode of a show before they decide they're going to do it. And they wanted me to be a pop culture entertainment expert because that's kind of what I am, but I didn't have a web magazine I worked for. I didn't have a website. So over a weekend, I started a website and I wrote like 10 articles on this website for the weekend so that when they introduced me, I would have some place to be introduced as. So I was Brian from popgoestheweek.com, and now I still do it. And that appearance ended up propelling me to do more. So that's kind of how that happened. My answers are super long. And I'm going to have to type them. And the opportunities. So I'm going to keep typing as we do this. This is a fully interactive experience. The opportunities started coming from that. Okay, let's find another question. All right, what do we got here? I'm going to refresh this page.
And everybody, you can add to the conversation if you're watching on Facebook Live. You can go to www.onmogul.com. Please put Brian on the hot seat. We want you to put him on the hot seat. Ask him anything. He's done a little bit of everything. Literally, he's driven a tram. Is it called?
I drove a tram. You know, like like when you're in the parking lot, and you have to get to your parking spot, and I'd be like, you're parked over in like Goofy 5, that kind of thing. I was driving that, and then they would switch with the person on the back, and then you would be like, welcome, take small children by the hand, don't forget your strollers and personal belongings.
He was also, interestingly, the mascot at Syracuse.
Yes.
For how many years?
I only did that a year because it's hot in there, and I was sharing a costume with the rest of the team. So like if you were doing the second half of the game, you'd be putting on somebody else's sweaty orange costume. It was foul, but it was fun. But like once I did it for 6 months, it's great because you're like on the 50-yard line of the football field, but you can only see it like through these eye holes.
So ask him about being a mascot, ask him about driving a tram, and now he's a network executive for HGTV. He's launched a lot of very successful reality shows. So if you have a question about how to become your own reality show producer or host or star, you can ask Brian. He's also been executive producer of The View. He's also been executive producer of the 4th Hour of the Today Show with Kathy Lee and Hoda. He's also been the Thanksgiving Day dinner guest and Seder guest, right? Is it Seder? For
yes,
Joan Rivers.
For Joan Rivers, yeah. I have a question from I Live Under South Fork. And the question is how was Trump's hair? Because I've touched Trump's hair in my lifetime, and I think that's in my bio. Not usually in my bio, but it's in my bio here. Are you upset at all that Jimmy Fallon was a copycat? That's very funny. Okay, so back in like 2002 or 2003, I was doing a live shot for a program hosted by Ashley Banfield when she was at MSNBC. And we had Donald Trump as a guest, but he would only do the show if we got a satellite truck to park outside of Mr. Chow restaurant. It's a pretty big restaurant here in New York. And he could just come out during his dinner, because a typical cable live interview, you know, is like 5 or 6 minutes. And so he's going to come out, and someone said to me, he doesn't really like to be touched. Which is always like, really, someone doesn't like to be touched. Like, I'm not going to, like, you know, feel him. But I just, you know, like, I'm going to shake his hand, not shake his hand. But anyway, they said he doesn't like to be touched. So he comes out, and it's windy. It's windy in New York that night. And he's got this hair, like this lock of hair, that is like flying in the wind at the live location. This is going to look really great on screen, I'm sure. But he's got this like really weird flyaway of hair. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, I would think he would not want that to appear on TV. So, and it's just me, the producer, and the cameraman, and audio guy, and him. So I'm like, Mr. Trump, I'm stammering and stuttering through the whole thing. I'm like, you have a little flyaway. So I grabbed the lock of hair, and it was sticky. I think there was some hairspray involved, and basically pushed it against his head, and it stuck. Like, so. So that was it. So I touched his hair. I didn't tussle it like Jimmy Fallon. And am I upset that he copied me? Well, I will say, I thought that moment I think that's kind of a polarizing moment in television, because while it makes him infinitely likable, I think a lot of people he's come under a lot of scrutiny, Jimmy Fallon, for not pushing him on some really hard questions, but having that fun moment. Jimmy's said, you know, well, if you go watch my show, I'm not really hard on anybody. But it's interesting how that moment has been somewhat of a polarizing moment in our political climate. It speaks to just how complicated this election process is. And so, yeah, I do actually have some pretty strong feelings about that moment. But I will leave that for the cocktail hour later. Let's see what else we have here. I don't know how to refresh. I feel like I'm 90 years old and don't know how to. Oh wait, there's the refresh button. Let's see what else we've got. I've had a lot of different drums. I asked that one. Would you ever appear on one of those? Okay. I'm gonna answer it just because I started. But would you ever appear on one of those sexy calendars like they do for firemen? Sexy Moguls calendars could be a big hit. That is hilarious. Anne, I adore you. I don't know who you are, but I adore you. I think, no, yeah, it's just such a hilarious question that I don't even know. I'm just gonna say you're my new best friend. But I don't think that I'm gonna get any more requests for that, aside from yours, Anne. That's very nice. I'm one of those people who looks better dressed. What were your favorite TV shows growing up? What are your favorite shows now? Growing up, okay. This is going to totally date me. I enjoyed, of course, we all love the Brady Bunch. Okay, of course, we all love the Brady Bunch, but the Brady Bunch. I loved mysteries of any kind, so therefore a little Charlie's Angels action, a little Charlie's Angels action. I enjoyed sitcoms like, let's see. Oh, do you remember What's Happening? Remember What's Happening? I think it was What's Happening. Oh, do you remember Small Wonder? Oh, wow, we're really going there. Okay, What's Happening? Small Wonder. If you guys remember Small Wonder, I want to hear from you. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm admitting this. I enjoyed the Golden Girls then. I enjoy it now. I used to enjoy Fantasy Island. Do you remember Fantasy Island? Come on. I mean, that is the ultimate in like wish fulfillment. Anything seemed to be possible with Mr. Rourke and Tattoo. Today I love. Okay, right now I'm watching Mr. Robot. I'm still on season 1. I'm so late to the game on most series. Like I wait until everyone's raving about them and then I binge watch them. So I just watched Stranger Things and I love that. What else? I love the Great British Baking Show. Are you watching that? Okay. Great British Baking Show. You should DVR it, or I should say, you could get it on demand with PBS or probably with Apple, iTunes. Great British Baking Show. I like a little bit of reality. I love Family Guy. I know some people think it's crass, and it absolutely is, but I do love it. The Middle is so funny. I don't know if you're watching The Middle, but Patricia Heaton, it's so good. It's so well written. The Goldbergs is hysterical. I have a hard time keeping up with all the great shows that are out there. I think we're living in an amazing time. That used to be there was nothing good on TV, and now there's so much good on TV, and less so in movie theaters. There's not great stuff in the movies, as far as I'm concerned. I don't need another superhero movie. I don't. And I don't need a sequel to something. Like, I saw it once, I don't need to see another one. Okay, I have... okay. Oh, this is wildly exciting. Lon, hey Lon, you're so kind. Lon Waslian, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Lon. What was my first TV appearance? That's interesting, because my first TV appearance, I was actually in full ape makeup. Yeah, I interviewed, I appeared with Charlton Heston in an interview, and they had me dress up as an ape. They got a professional makeup artist to put like Planet of the Apes makeup on me, and I sat in a double box with him, and he wasn't amused. Like it was actually really awkward television, and I wish I had a copy of it because you know it's kind of epic. So it was promoting the new Planet of the Apes movies. And they were getting his opinion on it, and full ape makeup for an interview with Charlton Heston about Planet of the Apes. Okay. Let's see here. Lucy Chen. Let's see what Lucy Chen has to say. Oh, you're very... Lucy Chen says, "Hi, Brian. You were really cool." That is very nice of you, by the way. Thank you. What's your advice to people like me still exploring careers that could be interested in journalism, especially humorous journalism? You're really funny. That's very nice. So it'd be neat to hear what your training was and your advice on how to follow in your footsteps. Well, that's so interesting because I always say I like to mentor a lot of people that are kind of in the same kind of position that you're in, wondering how to get to a certain destination in their lives. And I don't know that there is one way to do it. I think that what the beauty is that there's not one way to do it, or we would all kind of be doing it that way, I suppose. But I do think if you want to pursue comedy and journalism, definitely look into different ways to do both. You don't have to incorporate them together right away, but take classes at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade. Take a stand-up class. Take your journalism classes and insert humor into your reporting in subtle ways. Like, I think there are so many times you'll see a news network will say, we're going to have a show that's going to be funny. And once they say that it's going to be funny, it's like when someone says to you, I'm going to tell you a joke. And you're like, oh, are you? I mean, you're going to make me laugh? Because I think you immediately build up this wall that's kind of like making it actually harder to actually be funny. Now, if you go to a stand-up club, you expect people to be funny, but you also get 2 drinks, 2-drink minimum. So I think find ways to incorporate your humor in subtle ways in your day-to-day life, and these opportunities will come to you. And then pursue it harder by finding, like, surrounding yourself with really funny people, like the people at Upright Citizens Brigade. I wish I had done that. It's not that I can't do it now. I mean, I could be the oldest one there. That's fine. But I think if you also write funny things, write articles, start a blog. I think anybody who wants to get somewhere in journalism really should start establishing their writing skills really early on. So even if you don't have that job, if you go to an interview or if you run into someone on a subway or at the airport, you can be like, I've got a website, you should check it out. And this is where I express my point of view. You know, now more than ever, journalists have a point of view, or like many of the guests on TV shows have a point of view. If not the anchors, then the guests on there have a point of view and are able to express that. So if you start doing that now, all these things will come to you. And I will say, the older I get, the more I see a lot of the people I used to work with, colleagues of mine, entering into new amazing careers and doing new things, and we all collaborate and share stories and information and rely on your circle of friends. Be nice to everybody, because you will run into them. You will run into them later. And it's not hard. As I said before, it's easy to be nice, and it will pay off. Hard work, be nice. I'm going to answer you in greater detail too. Because I think that deserves a little bit more exponential response than I can do in real time. Sarah Fine, are the Love It or List It hosts actors, or are they really experts in interior design and real estate? They really are experts. I will say Hilary Farr was once an actress and is actually going to be in a musical up in Toronto during the hiatus. But she is, in fact, a real designer who is amazingly talented. So both of them, we have legit real estate agents and a legit designer on that show, and they are both fantastic. So David is a real estate agent. And so the beautiful thing is when you're on TV as they are obviously comfortable in front of a camera, and so for Hilary that translates into being comfortable on stage. I'm going to get the information on Hilary. I have it on my phone because she just texted me yesterday. Let's see here. When is the show? I'm going to tell you exactly when it is so you can look it up. Hilary Farr is, okay. She is going to be, where is it? Toronto, November 25th is opening night, and then it runs, December 1st is opening night, and it runs through January 3rd, so she's in a stage musical that you should check out. Okay, I'm going to answer that question quickly online. Yes, they are the real deal.
And while Brian answers, we're just going to remind anybody watching Brian who wants to know anything about Brian and put him on the hot seat, please go to www.onmogul.com. We are taking his questions for Brian live. All you have to do is register, and you can ask away.
So this is fun, Mary, by the way. Thank you. And by the way, can I give a shout out to Mary? I'm giving it. It's happening. She did not ask, but we are on the 1-year anniversary of her book coming out. You just had you don't know. I can see her silently. I can see her blushing. White Dresses, that just came out a year ago, and so testimony to, and she and I have similar backgrounds in television. Testimony to writing, because she cracked the code on how to get a book published. Great writing, and then getting it published. It's amazing, and she's blushing, and she's gonna kill me, but that's okay because it's live, and she can't stop me. In a stage musical.
So Brian Balthazar, and I am blushing, but for those of you who don't know, so TV network executive, he's done a little bit of everything, the total Renaissance man. So for any of you thinking, I can't crack into TV, I missed my window, Brian reminded us today, he did not crack into TV until the age of 28, after working as a mascot, after driving a Disney World tram, after working for a psychic medium. Some fascinating backstory, and didn't make the leap into TV until age 28, and didn't go on camera until how old?
Oh gosh, probably at least over 30. Yeah. So now it's really the age thing is coming out. Okay. I'm going to repeat one of these questions and just don't be afraid. Okay, so Kelly Hudson, she actually has one of the questions from our rapid fire round. She said, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? How long should a person try to make it in the broadcast journalism / production world? First of all, let's say wear more sunscreen, because I wish I had. It's all starting. When you're in your 20s, driving a tram in Florida, you're like, bring on the sun. You don't care. When you're 20s, just like tanning like a fool, because you're in Florida or wherever you are, and you don't care. You think it'll never come back to haunt you. It does. Wear more sunscreen. Don't be afraid to say out loud what you want to do. If you don't believe yourself, don't believe it enough yourself to say it out loud. How are other people going to hear it and help you? It enough. And then, if they don't know either. And the other thing I would say is, how long should a person try to make it in the broadcast journalism production world? For me, I think if you want something badly enough, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going until it happens. The thing about success is it really doesn't come on your timeline. And success is relative. So there are a lot of things that you will be doing that you'll think, oh, I want more, I want more, I want more. But in fact, to someone else, you might have the dream. I think there are a lot of people that think, I have the dream life, the dream job, and in many ways I do, but I still think there are times I tell myself, oh, I want more, and I try and remind myself what the 12-year-old version of me would think of what I'm doing today. Like, right at this very moment is a great moment for me to think about that. The 12-year-old version of me would be so ecstatic to think that I'm sitting on the 41st floor of a New York City skyscraper talking about being on television and working on television. I mean, those are the moments that humble me, because when I was 12 years old, living in a farm town of 5,000 people, I never would have imagined that I'd be in a building with 5,000 people. So that's what I try and remind myself. So success doesn't always happen on your timeline, so you just have to keep going. But also, a lesson I learned is it's okay to change your mind too. If after 20 years you're doing something, or even after 10 or 5, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I don't want this. That's okay. You're not quitting. You're reassessing, you're realizing, and you're refocusing. As Mary said, I was on The View as a co-executive producer for a year, and I realized in that time an amazing dream job opportunity. But there was a moment in that span there when I thought, I don't know that this is what I want to keep doing. I don't know that I'm enjoying it enough. And I thought, are people going to think I'm quitting, or that I was fired, or are they going to think I just couldn't handle it? And I thought, ultimately, I have to go back and ask myself, does that matter? Does it matter? I know I'm leaving on my own volition. If somebody thinks I was fired, or if someone thinks I didn't do a good enough job, that's really not, I can't live in that other person's perception. I have to live in my own realization that I'm happier doing something else. So for me, it was a personal kind of leap to say, I know it's been less than a year, but I gotta go. I'm just gonna go. And so I have great, would I do it all over again? Absolutely. I'm glad I did it, but I'm also glad I assessed and realized that maybe my happiness lies somewhere else. So just because a lot of people that come to New York and think if they leave New York because they don't like it, they're quitting New York or they're quitting their dreams. No, you're just refocusing and on every map there's a left turn and a right turn sometimes, and you can't feel bad about the ones you take. There are no mistakes. You just take the one that you think is right for you, and that's the right one. Boom! Boy, I got a little Oprah-y on you. All right, let's see. You just keep.
So what?
Now, are they gonna be able? Okay, let me ask you, Mary. Can they watch this later?
Yes.
Okay, so I answered this one at length.
They can, but or we could have you can be typing away. We'll remind people. Why don't you type for a moment, and we'll remind people that right now you can go to www.onmogul.com, and you can ask Brian and add to the question queue at www.onmogul.com. This is all part of the Ask a Mogul Anything series. Brian is answering your questions live. You can hear your question read live. You can get a shout out from Brian live. If you add your question to the queue, we have just a few more minutes, time for a few more questions. And Brian is just finishing typing his last answer, which was very nice, about what he would tell his 20-year-old self and what his 12-year-old self would think of him now. And the point being, There are no mistakes in life. It's just left turns, right turns, and moving forward. Or moving sideways,
Here we
I guess.
go. Oh my gosh, play casting director. Who would be Kelly Ripa's new co-host on Live? I'm just going to put I'm available. There you go, Corey. Thank you. Okay. I'm scrolling down because there are some questions. I heard that Brad got into an... Okay, this is about... Please tell us what... Tammy Searle, please tell us what really happened between Brangelina. Spill it, Brian. Inquiring minds want to know. And then someone else said... I'm just reading this for the first time. I heard that Brad got into an argument with Maddox on the airplane, so feds got called in, then CPS because somebody said Brad hit Maddox. Okay, so here's my perspective on all of this. Obviously, I wasn't on the plane, and I'm not in the inner circle, but I find so interesting, and it's a very scary world of like viral news that we live in now that we really don't know, and I don't think we should necessarily rush to judgment on either of them because we live, especially in the showbiz world, where people want to get ahead of a news story and will do anything to get ahead of it. And so some of the things that we're hearing could be wildly untrue. The fact that Child Protective Services was called in to investigate, if that's the case, is standard if there's any kind of report of some sort of child abuse. It's a complicated question. But as it relates to the whole story with Brad and Angelina, I think it's so fascinating how much the story has exploded, and there's just this competitive need between media outlets to have that much deeper a look into the story. And I think sometimes there are people out there that will be more than happy to be a source on a story, even if they don't know what's going on. And I can say personally, as someone who's been called by newspapers and outlets, they will call asking for dish on a story. And I believe that there are people out there that will make something up just so their name could be their name could be seen, or that they, even if they go anonymously, I think some people get engaged in the story even if they have no knowledge of it. So I think we'll truly never really know what's really going on with them unless something is made public in a legal forum, and which is how we found out about the divorce filing in of itself. So, wow. Okay, let's see.
So we're going to let Brian type. We're going to remind folks you can get the last questions in. We're almost done with the hour, but at www.onmogul.com. Brian Balthazar, he's a TV network executive producer, founder of a lot of amazing reality shows, Home Improvement in particular on HGTV, former executive producer of the 4th Hour of the Today Show with Kathy Lee and Hoda, former executive producer of The View, and an on-camera television personality who's done a lot of on-camera work, in particular about all things pop culture, which is why he was just telling us about his insights into Brangelina. And he's traveled the world with Tom Cruise for a week at a time, and he's touched Donald Trump's hair. You can ask him anything. He's a bit of a Renaissance guy when it comes to both television and television development. And so he's asking your questions now live on Ask a Mogul Anything. It's a new live interactive Q&A series of interviews with all kinds of movers and shakers in the worlds of business, finance, entertainment, politics, sports. Okay.
Okay. Do we have time for one more?
Yes.
How time flies. Time flies so quickly. Oh, and that's very nice. Lori Dutton says, just wants you to say you're being very inspiring, and that honestly means everything to me. I think when I was younger, I didn't have anyone in my family necessarily go to college or tell me how to choose a college, and so I didn't have someone that I really thought was necessarily able to inspire me or let me know what's possible. And I really do think almost anything is possible, and if you're ever thinking, if you see someone else with a dream job and you wonder why you can't have it, I would just say for you to keep saying to yourself, why not you? Why not you? If that person has it, you can have it. There's room for all of us. I really do believe it. If you're willing to work hard, don't expect it to be handed to you. If you expect it to be handed to you, then probably not you. But why not you? Why can't you have a TV show, or why can't you write a book and get published, and why can't you be an actress, or why can't you be a CEO, whether you're a woman, a man, of any race, creed, color, and you name it? Like, why not you? We need to embrace that in ourselves and all the younger people around us, and kind of impart that. Like, there's no reason that you can't have what you want if you're willing to work hard for it. So for someone to say that they're inspiring to me, I'm inspiring to them or inspiring to someone, is incredibly touching. And boy, if I can walk away having inspired like 2 people in my life, I hope that feels pretty good. So okay, so I'm going to respond to that. Means the world to me. And I thank you, Lori, for saying that. People are so nice. I have to say, like people say what they want about social media, but and that people can be cruel. Not here, not on Mogul. Like people are really like, it's a really great collaborative. It's a really great collaborative website where people clearly are really into supporting each other and learning and collaborating with each other. Someone said, "What's your best piece of love advice?" Oh wow, there's no manual. Patience and laughter. I would love to try that. People say that never go to bed angry, but how do you do that? Like sometimes you're just gonna be mad. Like it's okay. Like I will say, don't necessarily believe that that person at the office next to you that always makes it sound like everything's perfect. It's probably not. Like if someone says their relationship is perfect, I'm immediately skeptical because I'm sorry, it's not perfect. And there's no rule about what percentage of happy you should be in a relationship or in a job. Like, oh, am I 80% happy in my job or my relationship? And what's 80%? How do I measure that? And you just have to trust your gut and have self-respect and know when you have to really kind of choose yourself and your happiness if you're not getting it. If you're not getting it in any situation. So basically I'm saying I have no answer for the question. But anyway, who knows? If you have it, let me know because I could definitely benefit from it. But I'm very happy, so I have to say that's a good thing. I'm very lucky to be in a great relationship. Wonderful. You've met a lot of stars. Do you ever get starstruck, says Sally 22. Who are your all-time favorite stars that you grew up loving? I rarely get starstruck because I've met enough of them now where I feel as though they really are just real people. Some of them are lovely, and some of them have drank their own Kool-Aid, and I love Kool-Aid, so that's not a slight against Kool-Aid. I will say I have made some really close friendships, and they're people I knew when I was a kid on TV, from seeing them on TV, and I was amazed in life to then have, like we said in the bio, like I became somewhat close to Joan Rivers, enough that I was able to go to her home for Thanksgiving dinner. She invites about 35 people to Thanksgiving dinner and to her Passover Seder. So she was lovely, and I say I got somewhat closer because she was so wonderful to a lot of people. I don't want to make it sound like she and I were best friends, but she was lovely to me. She always knew about my personal life. She always followed up, sent me thank you notes if I sent her something. But I felt I could trust her, and she could trust me, and she was lovely like that to so many people. Kathy Lee Gifford from The Fourth Hour. I grew up watching her on Name That Tune, and never would I have imagined in a million years that I would be able to work with her and call her my friend as well. I always say if I end up going to jail, I'll call Kathy Lee because she'll not just because she'd probably spring me, but she would give me a good talking to and she'd forgive me. It's I've said that to her myself, and she'd answer the phone. You need somebody who's going to answer the phone when you get sent to jail. I hope this never happens, by the way. I'm not sending that out into the universe. But also, who I'm friends with, who I adore, is Charo. Do you know who Charo is? I'm waiting for the internet to be like, nod their head. Thank you, Mary. Charo used to be on the Love Boat all the time. She's like the most booked guest star on the Love Boat. But she's also an amazing flamenco guitarist. That's sign for flamenco guitarist. And I produced a segment with her, and Mary has produced a lot of celebrity segments too. And sometimes you just kind of have that connection with someone that you're like, I think I really would get along well with them. And sometimes you think that and you never it never goes any further than that. Like I was in an elevator with Tina Fey and I'm like, we should be friends. But I didn't say it. But in my head I'm like, yeah, we're not probably going to be friends. But Charo, we're actually friends. Like I call up Charo when I go to LA and we go to lunch with her and her husband, and it's kind of amazing. So I kind of grew up loving all those people in my childhood, and I was fortunate enough to get to know them and then really get to know the real version of them. I think the key is when you meet a celebrity, some of them want you to treat them like they're a big star, and they love that. But I find the ones that I connect with the most are, like, every time I see Kathy Lee, we're not taking a picture every time because you're friends, you know, and you don't need a picture every time. Like when I go on the show with them, of course I take a picture because I want to put it out on social and show that I'm going to be on the show or was on the show. And I certainly take plenty of pictures. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hypocrite. I don't want to seem like a hypocrite, but she has turned out to be a really good friend and a really good person. And really good to me. So that's the long answer. I'm terrible at the short answers, Mary.
You've been amazing. We're going to let Brian type and answer some more questions. We're going to put him on the hot seat when we get ready to say goodbye so he can finish answering in the course of the live session. So you can still get a question in under the wire for him to answer online at www.onmogul.com. Ask a Mogul anything. You could give him a shout out. You can ask him about anything regarding any of his favorite celebrities, home improvement methodology, anything about pitching your own reality show that will actually get produced. He's done it all. So any other questions, please go to www.onmogul.com and ask Brian Balthazar anything. We want to thank Brian so much for being with us today. He had a great website,